All right, the Buffalo Bills just played their last preseason game against the Chicago Bears, and I just wanted to get on real quick, go over a couple of things we saw, a couple of things we wanted to work on, and see how things went. So, the Bills did pull out the victory. Preseason game, that really doesn't matter. Some of the things we wanted to work on, those penalties last week and the week before, they were just killers. And this week, they did a lot better at that. The penalties were not anywhere near as bad, and I felt like they did a really good job at not committing them. I don't think they had any pre-snap penalties, which is crazy considering they had 12 penalties last week in the first half alone. So, did a lot better at that. There was talk this week that they did things in practice, like if somebody committed a penalty, they had to run a lap. Sounds like junior high or elementary school football, but if it works, it works. So I'm glad it worked for them, and so we've gotten better at that with the penalties. Offensive line play was the next thing we wanted to look at. Connor McGovern unfortunately got hurt during the week this week, so I was interested or concerned about who was going to start at left guard. I thought for sure it would be Bates that would come in, but it ended up being Henderson. So good to see him in there at left guard, and was happy with that because it looked like maybe they wanted to play Bates at center, in which they brought him in later on to do that. So maybe Henderson is moving up the depth chart, and we like that for sure. So, and we like that Bates is still the most versatile player in the NFL. I don't know about that, but most versatile player on our offensive line, can go anywhere. So, that was good. We wanted to see how the running game was going to work, especially with Damian Harris, because Damian hasn't had a snap yet for the Buffalo Bills. And the running game looked pretty good. I thought that the offensive line blocked well for him. He actually, on his first carry as a Buffalo Bill, had a touchdown running inside the goal line, which is where we want to see him do more of, is be our more of our goal line back. So happy with what Damian Harris brought to the team. I thought that the running game, especially up the middle, looked very good. Darrington Evans had a run up the middle that went for a long touchdown, and the offensive line blocking just fantastic, especially on that play, as everyone seemed to have someone that they were blocking on it. So was really happy with that. And unfortunately, they did have one penalty, the offensive line, that really hurt. Henderson put his hands on a guy's back and blocked him in the back. There was no reason to block that guy. And he was already going down, it looked like, but he did put his hands on his back and push him. So it technically is a block in the back. Yeah, that was too bad. But, just shows that those penalties can be drive killers, as that one killed that drive. So we can't be doing that. We can't be committing those penalties, and hopefully we're getting better at that. Middle linebacker, still a big question mark. That's the one big glaring thing I see coming out of this game. I do think our offensive line, in particular our tackles, played better this game, which we saw last game was something to really worry about. But today, who's playing middle linebacker? Somebody answer this question for me. We saw a lot of Dotson. We saw a lot of Dotson and Klein on the field at the exact same time. And I really thought that was like, okay. Wow. So, middle linebacker is such an important position. And we heard this week that the Bills tried to make a trade to get a backup quarterback to be Trey Lance from the 49ers, but the Cowboys ended up getting him. So my point with that is that hopefully Bean is on the phone, which I know he is. He's trying to make trades with everybody to make the team better anytime that he can. Maybe we can still find a middle linebacker. Preseason games are over now. Maybe too late, because that guy wears the green dot, and he's got to know a lot before he can go on the field and play. But we will see. Maybe Dotson is the answer. Maybe Bernard. We haven't really seen Bernard much because he pulled his hamstring that last day at St. John Fisher training camp. So maybe Bernard is the answer. I don't know. But We know that Milano's the answer out there at the other linebacker spot. But Still not sure what to do out there for that, and that would be the big question right now in my mind is who's playing middle linebacker. We wanted to look at the wide receivers and see how they did, and I thought the wide receiver group, all of them played great again. I don't know who the Bills are going to pick at wide receiver, because we're going to go with 6 or 7 wide receivers on the team. Obviously, Diggs, Davis, Sherfield, Hardy. I think that Khalil Shakir, although he is injured at the moment, I'm not sure the status of that injury, so that may play a role in that, but that would be 5 guys right there. You add in Andy Isabella, who's just been fantastic throughout the whole entire training camp. I think he needs to make the team, so that's 6. I thought today they tried to get the ball to Shorter a lot to see if he was the answer to be on that depth chart roster, and he only had 1 complete pass. It was for 19 yards, but I don't know. Shorter, that bubble right there. I don't know if he's going to make it. I am a big fan of Marcel Aitman. He's probably not going to make it, but that's just who I'm a fan of. And Shavers, and you just go down the line. There's some really good wide receivers here that unfortunately aren't going to be able to make the roster just because there's not space. There's not enough wide receiver slots available on the team if you usually wanted 6 or 7 wide receivers. So, they're going to have to go from there. And speaking of that, I will maybe tomorrow or the next day make a video about who I feel will make the roster on Tuesday, because Tuesday is the big roster cut day. And when the roster gets cut, what will we go down to? So that'll be interesting, as they have to move all the way down to 53 players. A lot of guys are going to lose their jobs on Tuesday. And a lot of guys will be moved to practice squads. I'm talking about throughout the entire NFL. And maybe that's the time we can pick up a player that, another team is really good at a certain position. They have to drop somebody just like we're going to have to drop a wide receiver or maybe even a defensive lineman. Just because we have good depth at that position. So we will see what happens there. I would invite everyone that's watching this video to please like and subscribe to the videos. Please subscribe to this page. The more people we have on here. I just watched Dear Evan Hansen. Remember, if a tree goes down in the woods, is anybody really going to hear it? So we need to have more people here to hopefully hear my content, or it's just me sitting in front of a bunch of beautiful autographed pictures of Buffalo Bills. The Bills will face the Jets on 9/11 and then home for our first home game against the Raiders the next week. So now we go into a bye week, which I think is a good addition for the NFL to have made here, because you do cut down to 53. It gives the team an extra week here to make sure everybody's healthy from anything that may have happened in those preseason games. Talk about our linebacker position and injuries. Balin Spector did get injured during the game. They said it was a hamstring. Hopefully, he will be okay, because he gave us a lot on special teams last year, and we were hoping to see some of him at middle linebacker as well this season. So we will see. Tuesday is the big day, and hopefully I can get back on here tomorrow or the next day to give my thoughts on who should be on our roster, the final roster. Hate to have any of these guys go. I like a lot of these guys. The Buffalo Bills have done a great job of bringing in guys with good character. Very good character. Really nice guys on and off the field. Leaders. And it's hard to see them leave the team that you love. So with that, I will remind everyone that God loves you. Wait a minute. God loves you! And so do I! Go Bills.